Are things worse now, or is our perception of life worse because of things like social media inflaming everything?
Well, I don't think social media helps. It hinders rather than helps, and I think it points up too readily inadequacies that we can actually, and the whole woke, well, we've talked about this before, the whole woke culture, I think, is truly awful.
And the shaming culture. Which I really feel quite strongly about. This incessant need to shame and bury people.
And I don't know where it comes from. I don't know who are the arbiters of this shaming.
Right.
And it's very hard to pin them down, and it turns out it's usually a bunch of millennials. You know?
Right.
I really like Succession. It's a really good show, and Brian Cox is a really good actor in it, and that's why I did not like anything that I just saw from him. And not only because I disagree with it, like that's the easiest thing in the world to do, but because it's just, for a man who seems exceptional in so many ways, it's just so stock. Like there's no additional thought that went into it. There's no perspective that made it understandable or distinct. It was just, I don't like the shaming, and who came up with it? It's them millennials. That's not great, Brett.
Yeah, this is one of the, you said you don't like rhetorical questions, and this is like, it's a rhetorical question that has answers. It's like, well, people, I'm sure like there's people who are doing the ethics math to be like, how bad is the thing and how mad should I get? And people are doing that all the time. But then lazy people who used to work with Piers Morgan or continue to work with Piers Morgan seize on that stuff and say everyone's losing their mind, even though you can go back to Twitter and see the thing that was originally trending. And it says like there's 900 people that tweeted about this. That's not a lot of people. So your answer is it started with 900 people. Now, the other thing that he's doing lazily is conflating like the actual horrible stuff with the not horrible stuff and pretending that those are the same level of horrible because it's all woke culture. Also, he's using woke culture like he's choosing one definition of woke culture to use and function on, and that is not the actual definition of woke culture. And people do it all the time, and it's so frustrating and it's so stupid. And I do believe that most of the stuff that people are angry about when they tweet about it, they're not that angry about it when they tweet about it. Because the entire design of the social media ecosphere is designed to get us to feel the exact same level of passionate about like true injustices, but also like, oh my God, they changed the flavor of Diet Coke or whatever. Like you just sit there and they're right next to each other, the Diet Coke thing and the murder thing. And you're like, I'm still as mad about the murder thing. And now I see the Diet Coke thing and it's all crazy.
And it's
my take.
Yeah, that's all those millennials. Yeah, there's just so much that in theory you could think about, you could mentally interrogate, and you just choose not to. And I'm not saying that every actor is obligated to do that, but he's choosing to talk about this. He's choosing to spend time with Piers Morgan. All of these are choices. And so apparently from his point of view, millennials are the first people to be woke, which means that they're the first people to ever disagree with prior norms of what's acceptable or preferable and what's not. Whereas Brian Cox, his generation agreed with literally every norm from the prior generations. They questioned none of that. They evolved in no ways. They just continued everything that the prior generation had done. And it's only, I will repeat, the millennials, the woke, that are canceling people. Except for like Bud Light and Target and all that. Why does that not count? Why is the left, why are the woke the censorious ones when people are trying to drive Dylan Mulvaney into the shadows for the rest of her life? Again, all of this, there is a discussion to be had, and it's being had. That's what the whole woke thing is, an ongoing conversation that doesn't just mindlessly accept the way things have been, but tries to think about and interrogate what's actually going on.
But that
said, Succession was really good. I still like the show, but I don't like what I just saw.
And apparently he's still in character.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so this is you have to rhetorically, this is so the crux of it. What is the position of the person talking about it in media? And it changes, but they don't tell you that they're changing it. There's two categories. There's what are you saying and what are you doing? What are you saying? He's saying all that stuff, but what is he? I understand what he's saying. People get upset and they get upset about things that aren't that important. That's what you're doing right now. That's what he's doing. He's doing the thing that he says he doesn't like. He just declared war on millennials because they overreact to stuff that they're not really, shouldn't really be that mad about. Brian Cox, welcome. Your snake just ate its tail. But then also the what are you, and then the what are you doing? Yeah, and then our position is people in what do we do? Do I call it out or do I do something about it? And the thing I can do about it is redirect the conversation to one that I can win at.
Yeah,
like, can I win at it? And I say, or do I go, yeah, that's frustrating. What else are we talking about?
Yeah,
and then just move on to something else. Or do you say like, whoa, you just did that. You just did that, and you're reading, you're foisting onto people. If you say people shouldn't be upset about it, maybe they aren't that upset about it, and you're just mad and frustrated and putting that onto them that they're more frustrated than they actually are about M&Ms or Dylan Mulvaney or anything like that.
Well, I would say based on the fact that the boycott has gone on for multiple months, they were pretty mad. But yeah, it's sometimes attributing anger or levels of anger that don't actually exist, and often it's simply accepting without stating why certain types of anger are acceptable and others aren't. Like obviously, you're just woke if you don't want jokes in sitcoms, making fun of people for being gay or overweight or something. But if you don't want jokes in sitcoms making fun of Christians or white people, that's just obvious. That's better, that's fine, that's not being cancel culture, whatever. If there is a reason why some of those are acceptable and others aren't, and it's an objective thing and not just a preference, feel free to actually explain that. Notably, they're not choosing to.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.